quarterly or whatever, the Presbyterian Church had what they call, Presbyterian meetings. And people could come and speak to those meetings for something for a minister or elders to pick up on as potential, interest for their congregations. And, they have to deal with the daily lives of their congregants from a perspective of politics and what they're doing on social media and, like rumor mongering, which is what some of the online non-fact check stuff could become.
Yes.
And I'm not saying every one of them would commit to it, but I could see how it would appeal to some of them as a thing to take back to their congregation as an awareness tool and something to discuss and potentially for a church to get involved in promoting. So it's at a higher level of leadership than individual churches.
Yeah, I think that sort of thing works best if we have someone who's a member of a church going to their church rather than somebody from the outside.
Right.
That's more trusted. That's what I tend to find works best for groups, to approach groups, including churches, not to kind of come in from the outside.
Well, you could potentially seek support, that's what I'm saying, from the denominations at a higher level, and then let it.
So you're saying that these meetings include leaders from multiple congregations?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I thought it's like the board, the elders of the church.
No, it's above the church level.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's what I'm saying, like, there'll be like a, in the local presbytery here, there'll be like the head of that presbytery.
So
So you could
I have a
potentially seek meetings with those people
Mhm.
and then see if you could then come speak to,
Then you can get access
to
to leaders
the
from multiple.
quarterly gathering or whatever, right?
So I have a question. So maybe this is kind of naive of me, but why exactly couldn't we just go to these churches directly and ask them if they want to hear us speak about this? Because I can see what you mean about how they might end up asking for our religious backgrounds and not listening to us or trusting us if we don't have the right kinds of religious background. But I don't think everyone is necessarily going to have that sort of prejudice, And it's most people are religious, and we're trying, and when we're trying to get signatures from people out in the public, outside of churches, most of those people are already religious too. So.
Harry, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's about where can we make the most impact.
Right.
So do we?
What's the biggest bang for the buck?
Right. We have a very limited amount of human
So
resources.
those leaders of those churches would become potential representatives to go out and do the work for you with
Oh,
individual churches rather
I
than
see.
us have to go to each
I
individual church.
see.
And they would
Sorry.
probably have more influence. than
Way
just
more
an
influence.
outsider walking
Right.
in.
And at that time, you speak to
Now I see
leaders
what
from
you're
15 churches instead of
It's a bigger bang for your buck,
And this is where it would
which
be
is
good
what
to
we're
have-
desperate for right now,
Yeah.
is growing our
Yeah.
numbers more quickly.
Yep.
Mhm.
So how would you, with your experience, given your experience, say that such people can be approached?
Well, I noticed that you've been doing a lot of speaking engagements. And potentially picking one of those and, sending a communication with an invitation to look at that and, see if they would be interested in discussing it further with you as a potential leader in the community, to get on board with this movement.
So I wouldn't even know where to start. Who is the person who I would need to? Who is the doorkeeper?
Yeah, I don't know here in Columbus.
But you're familiar with the structure of how this.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So would you be willing to take on researching who might be the doorkeeper? Doorkeepers in
Well,
Columbus?
it would be doorkeepers.
Doorkeepers. in
Because
Columbus.
it's going to be like the Presbyterian Church USA.
Right. So can you just take on researching who would be the doorkeepers here, and then I can approach them.
I see what I can do on that.
Excellent.
So So I'm trying to think, so like, cause the Unitarian is gonna have the same kind of thing.
They have a district,
Yeah.
which spans like a couple states, like a regional.
Right, and that's what we're looking for, we're looking for the regional bodies. Cause then that's something that,
Yeah.
like if we did the regional body here, then the next closest PTP group, like it's something they could certainly, they would have in Texas too.
Yeah, the Unitarian's called it's the Ohio Meadville District. That's here.
Makes sense.
That's all I know.
Yeah,
I'd go with.
I mean, you could potentially do it through the Catholic Archdiocese. I mean, I know that the face of religion is changing, it doesn't have the power that it once had. However, it's still broadly connected through our communities, it's still
Definitely.
fairly influential, so I'm trying to think what the other big churches are,
I think you started off by mentioning progressive churches.
Well, that's what I'm writing down right
Well,
now,
there's
and
the-
there can be progressive branches of the Catholic Church.
And
Because
there's
the
the-
Jehovah's
Unitarians are
Witnesses may
certainly
not
progressive.
be.
I'm not,
But
yeah.
then there's the
For
That's why I
example.
said
Or
Presbyterian
even the Catholic
USA.
Church may not be.
Right, well, it may and it may not, I
Well,
don't
there's-
know enough
yeah.
about the Columbus Catholic scene, I've certainly seen progressive archdioceses, but this is why I'm not writing down the Presbyterian PCA division right now, because they, until recently, and still a lot of them don't even ordain women as elders.
What is PCA? Does the C stand for conservative?
Presbyterian Church of
Oh,
America,
okay.
no,
What about the Methodist Church?
I wrote down the
UMC,
Methodist.
The Evangelical, not the Episcopalian, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Episcopalian, definitely. Well, there's what's called a full covenant communion.
Wow, you know a lot about this stuff.
Well, like I said, I was
That's why I asked-
married
that's why I asked.
to a Presbyterian minister for a couple of years, and dealt with a lot of the social justice issues.
Okay.
So, I mean, the fact that the Presbyterian Church USA is big into social justice issues makes me think
Yeah.
that this would be something that would be up their alley.
The UCC?
Yes, the
I don't remember what it
UCC.
stands for, but I know. that-
United Church of Christ.
Yes.
I've also, I was baptized in a Presbyterian church, but grew up in a UCC church, then married a Presbyterian minister.
Yeah, I know that the UCC collaborates with the Unitarian Universalist Church.
But
on
it's the
sexual education.
Lutherans, I believe, that are part of so the full covenant communion is the Presbyterian Church, the Episcopalians, the Lutherans, I wanna say there's one more, and I think it is the UCC. Because they banded together because they didn't have enough clergy to serve their churches.
Wow.
So it expanded the field,
Mm.
for the churches to be able to look for ministers.
Nice.
Which is kind of like dating and getting married and then getting divorced later. Anyway, don't take me there. Okay. All right.
How about St. John's Cathedral? Are you familiar with that? At all?
Well, I would be looking for the governing bodies, not.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I'm just, what is it? What kind of
That's a
church
good
is it?
question. I don't know. Look at their.
I only
should
meant,
tell
I
you.
mentioned it because they advertise at NPR and they sound pretty
They
progressive.
do sound progressive. You're right. St.
So
John's
I just-
Cathedral.
yeah,
Is it
so-
Episcopalian?
No idea.
Didn't they get,
Could be
didn't they
Catholic,
get a
though.
football stadium
Yeah,
named
that's
after
right.
them or something?
Parish News. Yeah, that says
All right. Great. So we have pretty clear plans.
It's really quite impactful, just look up. Not nearly as many places to look up. Michelle's idea. No, Michelle's idea is a good idea, if we can just go to like,
So it sounds.
Because that's what we really need right now, is we need bigger bang for the buck, because this is a song, that we're hearing over and over again from everybody, is like, I wanna do this, I wanna support this, but I have this full-time life, so,
It's a good idea.
and that's also part of fundraising, like, how
Yes.
can you help us, what kind of resources can you help us with? Can you help
Right.
us with your time, can you help us with your
Right.
money?
Absolutely.
Or just the kind of information you're sharing with us now is stuff we wouldn't have otherwise said. That's valuable right there.
Okay.
believe me, I wish I could not have to work and give my full time to this.
Sure.
But
No,
my
it's
life
understandable.
keeps getting in the way
Yeah.
of that right now, and the reality is I really am gonna probably need to give myself this next year of just working and pulling my life together and getting a budget together and figuring out how I'm going to figure out how to retire in 15 years when I'm 70. So,
So, okay, so
Yeah.
next step you're looking for the Presbyterian.
I will try to
candidate.
find you a contact in each one of these levels and get the door open to you.
Thank
So I can understand I came here today to say, guys, I can't do anything more right now this year, but I will do this. I will do this.
Okay, no, I mean.
I will,
Yeah.
I will get your foot in the door of
Awesome.
every one of these places that I can. And that's gonna be my commitment right now. Cause what I'm finding, and I don't know how to minimize this for people either, what I'm finding is I love the mission and the cause, but it's very involved. And like, I don't even feel like I know and understand enough about it. Like, I
Well,
feel
you
like
can
I
be
need to immerse
involved.
myself in all the.
You can be involved to the extent that you can. I mean, you're gathering signatures,
This
that's
is the
great.
perfectionist me.
Oh, yeah.
Meet me, I'm not pleasant in this. Yeah, but okay.
You don't need to be involved deeply in order to make a difference, you know? A person who
And I
donates
appreciate it.
$100 a month is great. A person who
Yes.
goes and gathers, 50 signatures in a day that's great. You know, and that's great. That's good news.
Yeah, high expectations.
I do.
Insert the
Those are
quote
my
at the bottom of the
issues.
signature in his emails at the end of that sentence.
Well,
Yes. I said insert the quote at the bottom, underneath his signature at the end of his emails at the end of that sentence.
So Edmund Burke.
Oh, right.
Yes, the
yes,
quote, the
yes,
quote.
the one who does nothing, yes, okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Just
Thank
a
you,
little-
Harry.
Yes.
You're
just a
welcome.
little
Appreciate
bit. A little bit is fine.
So,
So I'm still want to wait for that before getting
Do we have
to.
other things for Dick?
No, I mean we talked about the organization, but I think it's going to this is a good conversation about next steps.
Well,
so-
and speaking of that, and maybe this is just only for the perfectionist people of me, but I don't know, how do you get to the point where you feel comfortable, like with all the sort of background and history that went into creating the PTP pledge? So like, I'm perfectly comfortable going in front of crowds and talking, but at this point, I don't feel comfortable enough with what I know, with what I have command of information-wise about the PTP to do it.
To give a speech.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, you know it very well.
Like, are there any questions you're afraid to get?
Like, what would be the fear? What would be the concern about?
I mean, like, for me, it's like, I feel like I have to memorize the facts and questions, because if I don't, then like, and somebody asks me a question I don't know the answer to, it might like make it harder to get their signatures. But I don't really know that for sure, because I haven't really gotten any
So-
signatures yet.
Like, I feel like I haven't actively, I mean, my response to, like, I took the Pro-Truth Pledge, and so I'm gonna keep that and not pass on information that I haven't fact-checked is, I don't have the time and what I feel is good know-how to go fact-check it, so I don't pass anything on. Or like, I get emails from groups and I say, oh, okay, well, like, I get a lot from the Daily Cause, are you familiar with them? Yeah, and
Daily
see,
costs. You publish
Oh,
Daily
daily
Costs.
cause.
Yeah.
I thought cause.
so,
Yes.
no, KOS, Daily Cause.
Yes.
Anyway, and so, but I don't know how much I can trust them.
Yeah, it's not it's a quite liberal leader.
Right.
So
And I haven't had a chance to fact check any of that, so I just stopped like engaging with it because so
Yeah.
that's the effect this has had on me.
Okay, I mean, then
Um,
you're not passing on, you're not believing misinformation, you're not passing it
Right.
on. It's very good to be more skeptical.
Right.
It's very good to be more oriented toward accuracy. It's like.
But there's like so much coming in. And
Sure.
it's like I feel like from dusk till dawn I could be up all
It's
night
o-
trying to fact check this
Yeah,
stuff
it's
if I
okay-
were
it's
to do
okay
that
to
and
not
have
know.
my regular life.
It's okay to not know things, it just means you have to specialize more.
Yeah.
Focus more on the things that are more interesting to you, and if you don't
That's
know
okay.
everything, that's okay.
So I think it's beneficial in this sort of case to choose a generally reliable venue and then just use that one venue
Okay.
as a source. For example, something like, if you are center right and you prefer to read that, Wall Street Journal is a good, relatively fact, as long as you don't go to their editorial thing, that's a good, for kind of center left, CNN or New York Times are good venues. For, very center, USA Today, kind of, are
And
good.
so are we featuring these
And what
kinds
about
of
AP,
things?
Reuters AP?
AP Reuters. We're not featuring them because we're not officially endorsing them. We are because we're truth maintenance organization.
They're kind of most likely
So we're
to be-
featuring things like factcheck.org and PolitiFact and so on. We're not saying
Right.
this is what you
Someone at
should
the
do.
door. Come in.
But my guess is if I'm feeling this
Hi.
way, a lot of people who are signing on and making this commitment may be feeling something similar. And so,
How's it going? Hi,
Hey,
Duff.
Duff.
We're being recorded, so if you want to grab this chair and move it.
don't make any confessions, you don't want anyone to know.
But I mean, like, I think that feeling is fairly normal. I think for people who are like learning to be better at truth-oriented behaviors and stuff. I mean, like, cause I mean, like, how to say this? Like I said, it's okay to not know things. You know what I mean? It might feel a bit like you're a bit like unsteady from all the uncertainty, I guess. You know, but I mean, that uncertainty, you kind of get used to it. You know, and then it's like you can content yourself with the fact that you can't know everything, because in the things that you don't know, you just don't talk about basically, or you like just ask more questions, and like if you're curious, and like, you know what I mean, like.
And I think there's a lot of organizations.
I
Oh, go ahead.
I want to say that on the ProTruthPledge.org, there's a blog, and there was very recently, like if you go right now, ProTruthPledge.org, to the blog, the most recent blog is exactly written in response to this question,
Okay.
because people are asking, well, like, how can I fact check everything? Like, what do I do? And one of our volunteers wrote this up. Wayne Strait. He also wrote up earlier a very detailed blog that goes to the point of like what's misinformation, because that's something we get a lot of questions about. Like, well, what's truth? Like, what if I just like bend the truth a little bit of what if I do this? Yeah, and so there's a blog about that if you scroll just down a little bit. But the one about it's called Threading the Fact-Checking Needle,
Okay.
and it's kind of like to the point of, because people are asking, well, like, how can I do it? It seems overwhelming, and so I just wanted to recommend that resource, and that's something that we wrote and kind of vetted and put it as on behalf of the ProTruth Pledge on the blog that we went out. And so that's something that we can all use as a resource in our canvassing and our cabling and our whatever talks that we do. And I mean, of course, anytime we don't know the answer to something, we're like, I can look that up and get back to you.
Right.
It's a classic, but if you feel like you want to know more, there we try to have resources in FAQ and in some blogs.
Good point.
And also sometimes, and I don't know if you listen to podcasts, and I know Duff is a podcast fan, but something that I plan to do is just like look up all of Glad's interviews on the PTP, especially the long ones, where he gets asked a lot of questions, and maybe just like get a stationary break and like just figure out what are the, until I get used to it, what are the
Okay.
answers to the common things.
Yeah.
You can also check out, especially useful review, the ones with conservatives.
Oh yeah, the ones with the conservatives.
Yeah, well, it's what I saw the most today. I didn't end up having time to read them right then, but yeah, that's what I was thinking is, okay, this is the stuff I really need to immerse myself in so that I feel just,
More
Confident.
yes.
I think, so here is the kind of the crux of the matter. The feeling of confidence is a feeling for you, is like an internal feeling. You know way more about the Pro-Truth Pledge than anyone you would ask
yeah.
to sign it.
Right.
And I know way more about honesty and deception and so on because I spent a lot of time researching it than you do, than anyone in this room, just because you don't need to know all I know. And you shouldn't feel like you need to know all I know in order to gather signatures for the Pro-Truth Pledge or speak about the Pro-Truth Pledge. A speech that, we have a number of speeches that people gave already about the Pro-Truth Pledge,
Mhm.
or videotaped and so on, and slides on it. It's easy to give a presentation, and it's easy to come to the Pro-Truth Pledge, not from I am the expert on truth and you must listen to me, but I'm really concerned about the truth, and this is why I took the Pro-Truth Pledge, and
Regardless
I
of
don't
whether
know
it's
everything,
things,
but
Right.
this is why I took it. And we have other people in the group, in the movement, who are experts, and I trust those people because they have expertise in stuff, and that's fine. But this is not why I'm coming to you. I'm not coming to you because I am the expert.
I mean,
Not
long,
your position.
long story short, you don't really need infinite certainty in really anything in order to get along in life. Sometimes 98% certainty is plenty, So, if you're feeling like,
Oh, I'm not at all doubtful about the pro-truth
Well, that's not
pledge
what I meant.
movement and that it needs to happen.
Well,
I'm
yeah, I
just
know, but I mean-
sometimes,
like if you're feeling like you don't have enough information to be infinitely certain in something, and then you feel like, and that causes you to feel like you might not be able to be convincing enough to other people, like it's not really something that really should be worried about, because let's put it this way. I am a lot more certain that 1 + 1 = 2 than, well, maybe not a lot more, but I'm more certain that 1 + 1 = 2 than I am that if I walk up a cliff I'll fall. I'm more certain that if I walk up a cliff I'll fall than that, let's say, you get what I mean? You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not sure.
Degrees of certainty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a lot more certain that if I walk off the cliff I'll fall than the pro-truth pledge will succeed in making a huge impact. I'm a lot more certain that the pro-truth pledge will succeed at making a huge, huge impact than that Trump will start saying the truth.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right,
You know, it's like.
yeah.
the-
I guess where I'm coming from is because there were a number of topics that I did training in and gave presentations in over the years. You know, one of them being the Love and Logic program, which, by the way, you should look up for your teenager. loveandlogic.com. I forgot to say that.
All right.
Anyway, and when I felt really good about that and being able to go and make presentations is when it was just, you know, I had the philosophies down so good that it was an internal part of my core being, and so I could create examples and, you know, just respond conversationally, and that's much more comfortable for me. So,
I think it's one of those things that if you do it once or twice, you just get more comfortable.
Yeah.
The more times you do it,
Mhm.
I
the
mean,
more familiar you get with the types of questions you're gonna get. And
I mean, I do fine when I'm collecting signatures and stuff like that. It's just, my biggest issue is time right now, and so I'm trying to figure out how, you know, because I can't make a big impact, just me individually or a bunch of little volunteers, so that's why I'm trying to figure out how to grow us quicker. And so if I'm gonna put my energy into something, maybe that's where if I can get you in the door of these places and, you know,
That sounds good.
so, anyway.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
And if anybody
Discussion.
knows of any rooms to rent or apartments to rent or people who need roommates or whatever, it's my new challenge right now, so.
I mean, in regards to the whole internalizing, that's the thing that's at the core of your being. I mean, generally speaking, I try not to internalize my beliefs into a core of my being, even if there's something I really strongly believe. Because, like, even if it's really, 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 really likely to be true, even if it's, like, really, 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 really unlikely to be false, there's always a tiny, tiny chance, no matter what the belief is, that you might be wrong.
Thank
you
you.
know? So, I mean, like,
So you're saying that makes you more vulnerable?
what I'm saying is that, like, I tend to, the things I internalize tend to be more likely to be meta epistemology, you know, like how you believe things, rather than specific beliefs. You know what I mean?
Well, the pro-truth pledge is about how you believe things.
Well,
It's
yeah,
about
yeah.
the behaviors that
Yeah,
you follow in order
it's
to.
a different.
Right.
It is a pretty meta thing.
Well, yeah, exactly. What I'm saying is that, I lost my train of thought, sorry.
It's a way of living your life and
But
focusing on
even
it.
the meta epistemology stuff, like, it's still I'm not infinitely certain of. You know, it's just that I'm mostly certain of them.
Okay,
let's
so let's bring the
start-
meeting back
Sorry,
to
sorry.
what we need to deal
Let's go.
with.
Sorry.
So, Duff is here and he wanted to, so this is a good opportunity to talk about the social stuff.
Sure.
So, would you like to share your thoughts about social stuff and social engagement and?
Social activities.
Are you talking about the socials that I'm offering to?
Yes.
Coordinate? Okay, so I was a member of AMP Spirit, which we've talked about in the past. One of the things that we did to build community within the group was we had social events, and usually once a month, we would, as many of us as possible for the chapter would get together at a restaurant or a bar, have some appetizers, drink a few beers, talk about whatever we felt like, our lives, etc. And it would be, I'm thinking something somewhat different for this group, because part of what we did in the socials was we would bring people who we thought would make good members, but hadn't yet been introduced to the group. And the types of people that wouldn't necessarily gravitate to, let's show up at 7:30 in the morning once a week on Tuesdays and, you know, pay $270 to be members and all this kind of stuff that you had to do to be a member of AmSpirit, until they kind of got a feel for it. In other words, every organization you make a commitment to, one of which, by the way, I apologize for falling apart on today. I wish I'd been here on time. But the commitment we make takes time, it takes effort. You know, we have lives that we're cutting into with this kind of thing, and we want to make that commitment, but you know, I don't feel so comfortable unless I get to know the people that are involved. So the socials give us an opportunity to do that kind of thing in a very informal fashion, where we're all just sitting around being ourselves, talking, laughing, and sure, we talk shop, sure, we talk organization, whatever, but it's a more friendly environment than showing up at something like this for a newbie. You can imagine being the fresh into the room in this scenario. So the idea would be, is this your first meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe you can, so I mean, the idea being, I mean, I'd be willing to put together once a month, once every other month, whatever you guys decide is appropriate. Normally when we did these, you know, we would spend organization money on it, and that was your motivation to show up. In other words, your dues were being spent on the evening. Now, I don't know that that makes sense for this group, but instead of that, everybody's going to be bringing somebody to talk to, or as many people as possible. You don't have to bring somebody to show up, but that's the idea. Somebody that we would like to introduce to the organization. And of course, you know, if nobody shows up, that looks really bad for the organization. So you know, there's a bit of a social pressure to show up and make friends, and you know, if everybody brings somebody, then we have twice the number of people in the room. Then they can make friends with each other too. But the idea is at some point we gently initiate this is the Pro Truth Pledge, this is why we're all here. You could tell them that on the way, I wouldn't surprise them with it.
Because my back's making some hard time speaking.
You know, I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, let's go to a social and not tell them what it's about.
No, I don't.
You know, you want to tell them, hey, I'm going to be meeting up with a bunch of buddies from the Pro Truth Pledge. Would you like to come along? I'd love to introduce you. Let's have a beer. I haven't seen you in a while. That kind of thing. And who knows, maybe that sparks a fire in that person too. If nothing else, we all get to know each other better. And along the way, we might grow the people who at the very least sign, if not, might even be interested in being organizers in some way, shape, or form.
So this relates to the conversation we had earlier about, we weren't here about getting more volunteers and supporters on board. What do people think? And of course, not necessarily the AmSpirit.
Yeah, no, it's not exactly
but
the same. But
yes, what do people think about something like this, to have social meetings as well?
I totally approve of that.
And again, I'll be happy to organize them. That's
Mhm.
something I can commit to.
Yeah, I think it would be good. I think once a month might be a little too frequent, but I think every other month might work.
Okay.
And I'd want to I don't know to what extent do we want to consider the costs. I know for some people there's is cost a barrier, or
We can have them, we can start them at like a home maybe.
it can be at someone's home,
Oh,
or
yeah,
it can be
sure.
at a bar or whatever. But I'm just
Yeah,
not a
I
bar.
think-
It should be someplace where we can comfortably talk. So it's
Yeah,
not
I think
loud.
probably.
Not a noisy place.
Yeah, usually you don't pick a noisy place. You would
Yeah.
pick some place quiet where you can get comfortable seating, not necessarily in a row along the bar. I mean, you want a circle kind of shape,
Yeah.
either a table or couches. You know, some bars have couches and comfy chairs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and some of them are not loud if you sit
Yeah,
in the
and
back.
again, you're looking for someplace quiet where you can have a
Yeah.
conversation. And
Yeah.
that's something I used to do, is pick those places
Totally, yeah.
out, organize there would be 12 people there, that kind of thing.
Totally, yeah, and all I'm saying is that I know that some groups, are we a group that we want to make sure that it's affordable for people to go? Does it not matter,
I think
if
it's
someone
important.
doesn't, huh?
I think it's important that it's affordable.
I agree.
So
And
because
you
I go
don't
up to the bar and
necessarily
spend-
have to eat a full meal or anything like
Yeah.
that. You can go and have one beer or one cup of coffee or whatever your flavor is,
Mhm.
and that's it. Or other people might show up and eat a full dinner. That's okay too.
Yeah, just something.
Yeah,
I'm
you're not
throwing out there,
expected
yeah.
to do anything in
I know
particular.
that sometimes, if it's at someone's people home and you bring your own snack or BYOB, it can be a little cheaper. It also depends on time of day. If it's not in the evening, people are less likely to go for lots of food. So it's just a small consideration, but I think these would be good every other month, and definitely in a comfortable kind of setting in a home, or the kind of comfy bar kind of thing that you said.
And certainly,
That'd be cool.
I would suggest starting with a professional location, and then if somebody wants to offer up their home, once they see what it's like, how many people are showing up, they get a feel for what it might be in their home, then that they can offer it up.
Mhm.
What do you mean by professional location?
Restaurant.
It's like a restaurant.
Uh,
How many people do we actually have on the list right now who've said they'd be willing to volunteer? Do we know what kind of number we're talking about?
Volunteer. I
Locally.
mean, we have
Yeah, well,
in the Facebook group, which like is a good indicator, we have something like 90 people.
90 or 19?
90 people.
90.
0.
90
See, people also would be more likely to come to like a social thing, like, oh, these were, you
Something
know,
fun.
business meetings, but if I
Yeah.
can have a beer or have my like snack then, and just chat and not feel like I'm gonna be asked to do 5 things.
Sure. And
I'll
then
come just for that, yeah.
with Amspirit, what we would do is there were specific people that had certain roles at these kinds of events. Like the social chair would be there. The social chair would be there to make sure that everybody had fun. And the membership chair would be there. And the membership chair was to subtly and quietly go around and talk to the people that weren't members and maybe try to gather them in, you know. And, you know, Gleb and you guys could be there to represent the organization's leadership kind of thing, you know, however you want to put that forward. But the
So like you have a
members,
plan.
the members are there with a plan, yeah.
Yeah, so
The guests are there
that makes it more
to be
effective
entertained and
somehow.
have fun and then hopefully be drawn into the concept.
Cool.
Well, presumably it'd be the social chair.
Yeah, I'll take social chair straight out.
There is a Panera like right next to where I live, where they have a room in the Panera. We can just
Oh, lots of Paneras have those.
yeah.
They don't charge for it, do they? Because they used to
I
charge.
Oh, no, they
don't,
don't
I
charge
don't
if you
know.
buy
I
it.
don't know if they charge you for bring a party in there or whatever.
I
You
don't
have to
think they charge.
reserve it, though.
You reserve, but you don't charge, you just
Yeah, I
need to
think
buy
that's right. I
something.
think you just reserve it. We don't charge you for it. And if there's no one reserving at a particular time, people just go in there and sit. I think.
It's certainly better to reserve it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, no, I would reserve it.
You reserve it and then you just like buy coffee.
Yeah.
The other thing is, out of 90 people locally, I mean, we used to have 30 members in a chapter and 10 or 15 would show up to the social.
Yeah, I'd
So
say-
I don't know how many people out of 90 would show up, but if it's gonna be anything over 20, I need to know that, because that changes the entire nature of the venue. I think 20 would be exciting to get that many people
Well,
there.
I highly doubt we get 20 with the
Okay.
numbers that are showing up right now.
But once we get some people talking about it on the Facebook page, hey, that was fun, and, you know, maybe we'll get more.
I agree, I agree.
I should bring board games.
Or whatever you want. I mean, we can do anything we want with it.
Yeah.
A lot of organizations have Friday night game night.
Right.
I already have 2 of those going on, so.
I should teach you guys how to play Mage Wars sometimes.
Does the night of the week, normally, given that it was a professional organization, we would do like Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on which day of the week our meeting was. So if we met on Tuesdays, we'd have our socials on Thursdays. Do you guys have a feel for if a weeknight is going to work, or do we need a weekend? Because a weekend gets pretty busy for a lot of the.
I agree. We
At the
should
same
look at it
time,
now.
though, Thursday nights probably would not work for me because I usually have work super early in the morning on Fridays.
We can choose a date that works.
Well, and we